Hello, welcome to Algebra Lesson 11.2a, which is called multiplying rational expressions. Here's your warm-up, multiply. Now actually these are rational expressions, right? Because they are actually quotients of polynomials, monomials. So then I would encourage you also to use a shortcut. I better switch ink color here so we can see. How about we use green this time? Okay, so multiply. Look for shortcuts. Got it? You can pause the video as needed. So on the first guy, there's a shortcut with a 3 and the 9. 3 becomes a 1, 9 becomes a 3, and then the 4 becomes a 1, and the 8 becomes a 2, right? No more shortcuts, so I multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 3 is 6, and there it is, right? How about the second guy? Well, the 2 becomes a 1, the 4 becomes a 2, nothing with the 3, but there's something with the y's, right? This 1y up top cancels one of the y's on the bottom, and I think that's it, right? So the bottom is 2y, and the top is 3 times x times 1 times x, which is 3x squared. Okay, well that wasn't too tough, was it? Now we're just going to extend that because we did just multiply rational expressions, so we're just going to make them a little more interesting going forward. That's a really bad 2. Let's move on. Okay, so these are your notes, and it is 11.2a. Multiply rational expressions, and this isn't a definition, but it's just a rule of thumb, as you would rational numbers. As you would rational numbers. And I don't think anybody was particularly confused about the first warm-up, right? Because you know how to multiply rational numbers. So multiply rational expressions as you would multiply rational numbers. And then I'll put a little colon and we'll finish that thought. And that means you're going to do numerator times numerator. Numerator times numerator over denominator times denominator. Right? And then I left space over here for a thought bubble, because the thought bubble should ask, hey, how about a shortcut? Shortcut. That's a very strange thought bubble because I wrote downhill instead of up. Wow, that's crazy. See what happens in these crazy days when you're doing a digital assignment? Anyway, next. I don't think we need to write further shortcut. I think the thought bubble does it just nicely. And let's look at a few more examples. This is actually a pretty short lesson because it's not really complex. Okay, let's look for shortcuts. How about the A's? The A's go away, right? Because they both cancel. They technically become 1s. 3 becomes a 1. 6 becomes a 2. What's left? Is that it? That's it, right? So then I end up with 8 over 1, which is just 8. Sometimes it'll just become an integer. How about the next guy? Oh my, I have quantities on the bottom. I think so that I don't accidentally try to cancel part of one of those, I'm going to put them in parentheses, because then I know it's either that whole quantity or nothing, because you can't take part of a factor, you got to take the whole thing, right? Oh, so there's nothing that cancels then, right? So I guess I just multiply straight across, and 3 times 5 gives me 15. X times x squared gives me x to the third, all over x plus 4, x minus 7. Now, but this time some people are saying, shouldn't you FOIL that? You may make it x squared minus 3x minus 28, but you don't have to. The one benefit to not multiplying it through is that at a glance you can make sure that it really is lowest terms and there are no other common factors. But if you prefer to multiply it through, you may. I'll take it either way. Next one. Oh, quantities again. I think I'll do the parenthesis thing again. And then when I do that, it's like it almost becomes clearer that we've got an x plus 1 on the top and the bottom, right? So this x plus 1 on the bottom will cancel with one of them up top. This x plus 3 on the bottom will cancel with one of those on the top, leaving 2 on the top, right? So now I've eliminated the denominator. Remember, it technically became 1 because they don't become 0, they become 1, right? And then I end up with x plus 1 times x plus 3 quantity squared. And hopefully that doesn't get cut off of the screen. I wonder if I can move it. Oh, not exactly. Anyway, next. Oh, what's the word for the chapter again? Factor. Right, so I guess we should factor these puppies to see what's going on with them. Now, sometimes on my paper I'll cheat a little bit and I'll just kind of write it above. I think I might do that here too because I'm afraid I might run out of room. So on the first one, numerator, I could take a 5 out and leave behind an x plus 1, right? Now, to make sure I know I did that, I'll kind of squiggle that out. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the next numerator. I've got an x and an x, and I'm going to unfoil this. Is that a perfect square trinomial? I think it is, isn't it? So that I end up with an x minus 2 and an x minus 2. Because remember, this plus at the end told me it had to be 2 of a kind. The minus for b had to be a negative. So now I'm going to squiggle that out too. I don't want to, cross it out so much I can't read it, because otherwise if I have an error I might need to look back at it. The x squared minus 1 is the difference of squares, so that's an x plus 1 and an x minus 1. And again, I'm going to squiggle that out. If you'd rather rewrite it, by all means feel free. And then the x minus 2 I'm just going to put into parentheses. Now, since I switched that up, I think we'll go to purple. That doesn't really go with those, does it? Let's just go for a lighter green. Sorry, got a little distracted. So now I'm going to take shortcuts. The x plus 5, wow, that doesn't look at all different. Let's go back to bluish. That x plus 1 on the top, that was a minus. Wait, that was a plus. Never mind. Oh, wait, it goes with this guy right here, the x plus 1. Sorry, my bad. Then the x minus 2 on the first denominator gets canceled with one of the x minus 2's over there. And now I just wade through and see what's left. And on the top I have a 5 and an x minus 2. Now you can see the definite disadvantage to doing it this way. It just looks messy. The advantage is it feels like you're writing less. I don't know if you're not really, but anyway. And then x minus 1 on the bottom. Okay, so what do you know? That's it. Sometimes we'll look at a couple of practice problems from the book before we start. Hopefully you got it though. Otherwise, look at some more of the examples in the book. The key is factor, cancel, multiply straight across. So do well and have a good day.